On a sunny afternoon on May 15, 2024, the tranquility of Slovakia was shattered. Prime Minister Robert Fico, a figure of significant political standing, stood amidst his supporters when the unthinkable occurred. Picture this. The Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico, a 59-year-old political stalwart, was in Handlova, a quaint town in the heart of Slovakia. He was amidst a small crowd of his supporters who had gathered outside a cultural center where he was holding a meeting. The atmosphere was charged, yet peaceful, a typical afternoon in the life of a political leader. But then the unimaginable happened. A man emerged from the crowd, a lone wolf whose intentions were as dark as they were shocking. He advanced towards Fico, the crowd unknowing, the air thickening with tension. Then, with a swiftness that left everyone stunned, he fired.
Tonight, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, is in critical condition following a shocking assassination attempt early this morning. CBS.
5 shots echoed through the air, each one a chilling testament to his deadly intent. Fico was hit in the stomach and arm, the bullets piercing the sunny afternoon and the Prime Minister's flesh with equal ease. The crowd froze before erupting into a frenzy, the peace of the afternoon shattered by the harsh reality of the assassination attempt. The man who had managed to blend into the crowd of Fico supporters was now the epicenter of an event that would send shockwaves through the entire nation. As Fico fell, the gravity of the situation began to sink in. The unthinkable had happened. The Prime Minister of Slovakia had been shot, but there was no time for shock or grief. With every passing second, Fico's life was slipping away. Thankfully, help was at hand. Within minutes, an air ambulance was rushing Fico to FD Roosevelt University Hospital, his life hanging in the balance, the nation holding its breath. As the Prime Minister fought for his life, Slovakia was left to grapple with the harsh reality of what had just happened. The tranquility of Slovakia was shattered that sunny afternoon in May. A day that began like any other had turned into a nightmare, leaving a nation in shock and a leader fighting for his life. It was a day Slovakia would never forget. As the Prime Minister fell, the crowd erupted into chaos. Within minutes, an air ambulance was rushing Fico to FD Roosevelt University Hospital. In the immediate aftermath, the nation held its breath. Fico was in surgery for a grueling 5 hours, his condition described as truly very serious. The surgical and trauma teams at FD Roosevelt University Hospital in Banska Bystrica worked tirelessly, their hands holding the fate of not just a man, but an entire nation. The public's reaction was immediate and profound. Supporters of Fico, shocked and grief-stricken, gathered in vigils, their prayers echoing through the streets of Slovakia. The opposition, too, was shaken, their voices rising in condemnation of the violence that had marked this day. The suspect, a 71-year-old writer and political activist, was detained at the scene. His motives were disturbingly clear. He vehemently disagreed with the government's decision to abolish the Special Prosecutor's Office, stop supplying military assistance to Ukraine, reform the public service broadcaster, and dismiss the Judicial Council head. His actions revealed a deep-seated discontent, a reflection of the political tensions simmering beneath the surface of Slovakian society. In the halls of power, the reactions were swift. Interior Minister Matas Sutaja denounced the shooting as a politically motivated assassination attempt. Calls for unity echoed through the corridors, a plea for calm in the face of a storm. Yet the undercurrent of blame was unmistakable. Fico's supporters pointed fingers at the opposition, accusing them of stoking the tensions that led to this moment. The shooting came on a day when the parliament was discussing the government's proposal to abolish Slovakia's public broadcaster RTVs, a move that had already sparked protests across the nation. The planned opposition-led demonstration was called off as news of the shooting emerged, the political discourse silenced by the sound of gunfire. As the news rippled through Slovakia, the division was palpable. The opposition blamed for stoking tensions, a nation on edge, and at the center of it all, a prime minister fighting for his life. In the wake of the attack, a country was divided. Fico's supporters pointed fingers at the opposition, blaming them for stoking the tensions that led to this tragedy. It's important to understand the recent political history of Slovakia to fully grasp the depth of these divisions. Robert Fico, born in Czechoslovakia in 1964, first entered the Slovak parliament in 1992. Over the years, he became a significant figure, eventually assuming the role of prime minister in 2006. His tenure was marked by popular welfare schemes and a turn towards nationalism. Yet, his reign was not without controversy. In 2010, Fico lost power, only to reclaim it in 2012 after a successful motion of no confidence against the then Prime Minister, Iveta Radikova. Fico's grip on Slovak politics remained strong, despite a defeat in the presidential race of 2014 and a forced resignation in 2018 following the murder of an investigative journalist Jan Kuciak. Fico's return to power in 2023 was marked by a shift in foreign policy, withdrawal of support to Ukraine, and a pro-Russian stance. These policies, while securing him 22.95% of the votes, were met with international criticism, leading to Fico being labeled as anti-American. Back home, his decisions were stirring unrest. A proposal to reform Slovakia's public broadcaster, RTVS, ignited protests by thousands of Slovaks. These tensions were already simmering when the attempted assassination on Fico took place. The opposition-led demonstration planned for the day of the shooting was called off, giving way to a tense silence. But amidst the turmoil, a call for unity echoed. The country's leaders condemned the violence, urging their countrymen to come together in the face of adversity. The assassination attempt on Fico didn't just shake Slovakia, it reverberated through the international community. A bullet fired in Handlova echoed around the globe, sparking a chorus of concern, condemnation, and calls for unity. Leaders from Russia to Germany, from the UK to the United States, expressed their shock and sent their well wishes for Fico's recovery. Yet this was more than just an act of violence against an individual. This was an attack on democracy, a blow to the very heart of Slovakia's political structure. The world leaders understood this, and they did not shy away from voicing their concerns. They condemned the act of violence, emphasizing the need for such acts to be prevented from becoming normalized. They called for a united stand against such brutality, for the preservation of democratic values and the rule of law. The shockwaves of the incident also reached the corridors of the European Parliament. The attempt on Fico's life came just as campaigning for the European Parliament elections was gaining momentum. The incident served as a stark reminder of the volatile political climate in the region and the high stakes involved. It prompted calls for political unity and a suspension of campaigning, a pause in the political discourse to allow for reflection and healing. The international community watched as Slovakia grappled with this crisis. They saw a nation divided, a political landscape in turmoil, and a future filled with uncertainty. Yet they also saw a nation resilient, a nation that refused to bow down to violence, a nation that stood together in its darkest hour. The assassination attempt on Fico also served as a reminder of the challenges that lie ahead for Slovakia and the world. It underscored the need for dialogue, for unity, for understanding, and for peace. It highlighted the importance of political stability, of democratic values, and of the rule of law. As the world watched, Slovakia was at a precipice. The future seemed uncertain, the political landscape forever altered. Yet, in the face of adversity, the nation stood strong, united in its resolve to overcome this crisis and move forward. And the world stood with Slovakia, offering its support, its solidarity, and its hope for a peaceful and prosperous future. As Fico fought for his life, Slovakia faced a daunting road ahead. A nation divided, a political landscape in turmoil, and a world watching closely. This incident, a brutal assassination attempt on Prime Minister Robert Fico, has sent shockwaves through the heart of Slovakia, revealing a country teetering on the edge of deep political divisions. The ramifications of this event will undeniably shape the country's political future. For Fico's supporters, the shooting has only served to solidify their loyalty, their conviction that their leader is under attack, not just from a lone gunman, but from a system that has grown increasingly hostile towards their cause. For the opposition, the incident presents a complex scenario. While they have naturally condemned the violence, they also face the challenge of navigating the political turbulence in its aftermath. The opposition must tread carefully, balancing their critique of Fico's policies with the need to demonstrate unity in the face of such a shocking event. But perhaps the most profound impact will be felt by the Slovakian public. The shock of such a brazen attack on their leader will undoubtedly stir a myriad of emotions: fear, anger, uncertainty. The public's trust in the stability of their political system has been shaken, and the road to restoring that trust will be long and arduous. Internationally, the incident has drawn a spotlight on Slovakia. The global community, while condemning the violence, will also be scrutinizing Slovakia's response closely. Will the country succumb to the divisiveness, or will it rise above and unite in the face of adversity? As the dust settles, one thing is clear. Slovakia will never be the same. But the question remains, where does the nation go from here? The path forward is uncertain, but one thing is for sure. The world will be watching as Slovakia navigates this pivotal moment in its history. Share your thoughts on Fico's assassination attempt.